Hello and welcome to Wikipedia Weekly Network, where me and Albin Larsson will be editing Wikidata. Hello, Albin.
Hello, Jan. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
My tea is a little hot, but that's it.
All right. So some hot liquids there. And today's theme is going to be water because it's the World Water Week. What kind of water will you be editing?
I will be trying to connect nature reserves with the body of water that's next to them or within them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to write some queries for that, and we are going to do some editing.
All right. That sounds super important. And I'm going to try to edit in one river just to try it out. I've not really tried editing rivers before, so I'm going to take a look at some river and try to apply it on another. And then if there's any time, I'll try a flooding as well. So we'll see where we get. So I'll share my screen here, I think. Yes. So this is a tiny river. It's even instance of small river. So, and it's the one that went by the village I grew up. So I've been playing next to it and been paddling in it, I guess, a couple of times. So first off, I'm gonna let's give it a better description here so people can understand what it is. So this is a river in Sweden. I think that's probably enough. Maybe we should add county as well.
Yeah, something like that.
If there is two. I don't think there is two.
But it has plenty of Wikipedia articles.
I think it has, actually. It's been around for a little while. It's not very impressive articles. I'm going to take a look at them to see if there's something to add, but there's at least something. So here we have at least English and Swedish. That will make it a little bit more discoverable, I hope. And let's see what else we can add to this. There's an image. That's a pretty good one. It's from Swedish National Heritage Board, which is nice to see the image is getting used. Here's where it ends. We have a country, location that seems to be off. Because, well, let's zoom in here. That location isn't even right.
Right. Is it coming from a Wikipedia?
I don't know. Let's get back here. So here's from English Wikipedia.
Right.
But even so, I think, because I was looking at, as I said, I am not an expert in this topic area. So I was looking at another, the Nile. And I saw it had something interesting for the coordinates. So it had applies to part and river mouth. So I think we should at least add river mouth because it's where it seems to be aiming at. So let's add that as a qualifier here. Qualifier applies to part, mouth, end of a river. Yes. Question is, should I look this up on English Wikipedia to see?
It's a very long article.
That's a very short article, yes. And they don't seem to have a source for the coordinate, which is quite bad.
I imagine
they do have a source for the length, though, which is very good. So let's see if we can. All right, so that's a source for the length. That's good. Because I think that's even different than the Swedish source. Yeah, because this one says 35, but no source.
Oh.
So that's good. So let's save this first. Or should I try to move this one?
I think you should.
I can. Let's see if I can. Can I just?
No.
It's not that good.
No,
Set
it's
manually?
not. You have to
No.
edit it manually, yes.
So I want to go down. So I'll have to go to 19 something. Too far.
I never thought of doing it this way.
How would you do it?
I would go to like OpenStreetMap or something, and look up the coordinate in the URL if I have it centered on the right position. Because you can copy paste different types of coordinates here, so you can have a good old comma separated one.
Yeah, and I guess more or less that would still be the same. Source, because we're looking at the OpenStreetMap underneath here.
Yes, I imagine we would change the source to. We actually got a question if we can have a better source than imported from Wikipedia. And I imagine here we're actually looking at OpenStreetMap directly. So I imagine OpenStreetMap could be the source.
Yeah. This is the very manual thing.
Oh, that's a good one. I think you got it.
What, 7? There we have it. I think that's the one. So I'm gonna do like this, and then I need to remove this because it's at least not the same source anymore.
Yeah.
So the question is, but does it? I can't really state it in because it's not really derived from.
I would actually say stated in because you should be able to link to that like node as well. The start node or end node in OpenStreetMap.
Yes, but then it would be. Then I should copy it the exact for that node.
That's true. That's true.
So is there a derived based on?
Based on, right?
Yeah, that's good. Someone's gonna come and revert me saying this is not how we do it, but I think at least this is an improvement.
Exactly.
And this is a retrieve date. And that's hopefully today. All right. That's a little bit better. And let's see, we had the length as well.
Again, if we could have imported from Wikipedia and something else, and we can't really have a reference URL for this because we actually just looked at the background map. It would be the same if we had a paper map, which would be a totally valid source for Wikidata, but we just can't link to it.
No, I'm not sure like which URL would I use for this.
Yeah, exactly. And even if we would have an exact URL, we kind of made up our own point based on just the map.
Yeah. So let's see if I can add a length here. Oh, it even suggested a length. That's very nice. So it was 65 kilometers.
Right.
Not kilograms, kilometers. And we had a reference for that. And it was this. And here I think we might use both So we'll use the stated in for I don't know.
That's interesting.
There
One
we have
should
it.
be right.
Yeah, it's here. And the reference URL. Retrieved today. Good. That's something better. And I also had a source for, let's see, where did we have it? So we have the how much this is, and I'm not sure what that property is named, but I know it's in here. So let's see if we can find it. Watershed area. That's the thing we want to add.
Right.
Yep. And that one, 886. And this was square kilometers. Oh, nice. Thank you. And the reference here was even. So we'll have this PDF 886. And we'll add retrieved. And I'm going to be nice here to also grab the title, because this was a good title. Oh, it's going to be in Swedish. All right. It's going to say something about the size of this. Oh.
Interesting. Statement.
Should also have a statement for the drainage basin.
Yeah.
All right. And I think that one is a little bit complex here, and it's not mentioned.
Oh, it might be more than one, or
I think it's 17.
oh.
So I'm going to skip that for now and probably go back for it. But I also wanted to add, which I saw from the Nile, it had this discharge. It's not as mighty as the mile, but I have the number.
Right.
So let's see. Actually, if you go to the end of it in the spring, it's a little bit of a river.
Exactly.
It's wild enough that I didn't want to go down there with my canoe. So we made sure to stop before that. Discharge. No. Discharge. Wasn't it discharge? Oh, maybe if I spell it right. There we have it. So it's a measly 6 cubic meters per second. Cubic. There we have it. Boom. Was that the same source? That would be good, because if that's the case, I can just reuse it. No. So what was the other source for 6? It said 6 over here. Let's take a look at this. One didn't work. What did the English? Well, not the SEB one, the English one. Here I think I get it. Elevation. So it says 6 from this one as well. Now the question: do we trust them? Because I have no paid account, so I can't see it all. But I can see that the first one was correct.
Right.
Nah. I'll just skip the source here.
Yeah.
So we'll just add 6 and publish here. So that's a little bit. What else do we have? We have country. What else is in the Nile? Basin country. That's going to be the same. That might be interesting because we know this starts and ends in the same country. I think that could be something for queries to see things that are crossing borders and things that are not crossing borders. Continent. I don't think that's... Ooh, we have lakes on river. I think we actually have 2 lakes on the river. So let's go with lake. It's on river. We had... What was the name of it? Stamsjön. Oh, we have several Stamsjön, but it has to be the one in the Uppsala municipality. And then we had another one. Which was it? It was mentioned in this Södergivningen. Oh, there we have it. Nice. Connected to 2 other things. Should an entity with lakes? Yes, we know. I just haven't added it yet. Tributary. Yes. So let's see. I don't think there is another small one here, but I don't think it has an item. No. So it's the Foghammars on, but that's even too small for Wikidata yet. That's a tiny one. We had an image, we had a... Here we should be able to add locator map image.
Does it have a commons category?
It already has, actually.
Okay.
I think I'm pretty done with this one for a start, but I was a little bit interested by the Nile here. It seems odd to me it doesn't have a video.
Right.
But as we discovered last session, video is kind of hard to actually take a look at now, because to actually add it, one should look at the video before we are adding it, so we know. And it turned out afterwards I didn't add any of those protest videos because they were not like overview or something. It was just a few people standing by the street shouting.
Right.
So I didn't feel it added value to the article. All right, so let's go to something completely different for a minute or 2, because this one is totally empty. 2020 East Africa floods. So I'm gonna start by just adding something, a label in Swedish. Spelling would be good. And then we're gonna add So this is an instance of flooding. Flood.
Yep.
Here we have it. And let's take a look at this article, see if we have a start date, March to May. Do we have anything more specific? But even that would be a good one to add.
We have a lot of countries to add.
Yep. So let's start with the countries. So we can just add. It goes here. So it was. Kenya. Let's hope we can find a few good sources we can add for this later as well. And then hopefully we can use the copy source.
Right.
Uti. This is a. What else do we have? Democratic Republic of the Congo. Tanzania. So some basic manual editing here. Not very fancy yet, but this adds a lot of value, I think.
Indeed,
this is
makes
going to make
it a lot easier to find.
Yep. And then we want some timing here as well. That will be some good basic statements. So we want to start. And we had 2020-03. And this will be the precision month, which is as good as I know for now. So we'll add that. And then it lasted into May, it said in the article. So let's add 2020-05. Now we placed it on the map and we placed it in time. We said something about what it is. And I think we can, let's see if there's, we have a deaths here. That would be good because that says something about, oh, here's an interesting, should one do it in one big statement or one with one per country?
I guess you could do both with qualifiers. And that's also a time when you can do a preferred statement, a preferred rank.
All right, so let's start with that. So is it participants? That seems odd.
There should be a more specific one.
Number of deaths, that's better. And what did we have? 453? 453. Units, I don't think we say humans here, we just leave it blank. Yes, we have maybe per country and use qualifiers. Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
I think we could do both. So we'll do one here, and this one will set the preferred.
Exactly.
And we'll. The question is here then, would this have some sort of qualifier like the total?
Yeah, applies to total or something like that.
Applies.
Total number, total. Off, let's see. Applies to part aspect of 4.
I think we, yeah,
Valid
I think we
in
just says
place. There's something applies to location.
The whole? The gross? And then we go to applies to part with per and say each country for the other ones.
Yeah, we also, yeah.
Or did you think there was some other here?
No, not for this one, but for the orchard one, there's something valid in place.
All right.
Which I imagine is very interesting for a country.
Yep.
We're making this a little bit up now. I don't think this has been modeled like this previously. Maybe in a war or a battle or something.
Ooh, yes, that would be. Well, yeah.
I'm not gonna look something up.
That's good. Let's start with I'm struggling here. Which one? I think the whole is better. So I'll start with that. No? Oh, citation needed. Yes.
Oh,
I agree with this. It should have at least one reference. That's a good one. But I don't think we have them for the total. I think we have them for the each of these. Here we have a source for the Kenya. Let's see how it says, what it says. Death rolls rise to 237. Kenya. So we'll go with that. So we'll start with 2337. Here we try valid in place. Where did it go? We saw it. And that's a reference for that. This one. Let's add the retrieve date. That's the number of this in Kenya. And I think I can go on with this and repeat while you're doing some queries. Because now I'm just repeating this over and over to try to make it complete. And that will not be as fun to watch as some exciting queries about nature reserves.
Right. So I'm actually going to start by something I've been doing this week because it's World Water Week is to look for lakes nearby and like go there once every day, one new lake every day and take a photograph. Because on the Swedish Wikipedia, we actually got an article for every lake because of a robot import a couple of years ago. So it has been one of my things this week.
Nice.
And I'm just going to show a query I used to find this to begin with, because of course, actually not every lake, so to say, is included. The really small ones aren't. So to figure out which ones that are and aren't, I had a minor query, which is a little neat example I want to show off. So I'm just gonna find it here in my. So this is actually a query that is querying for things around me or around a specific location, but then I can use a trick that I say that the center is auto coordinates, which means this will actually ask me for my location when I run it. And here I'm actually asking for any Wikidata item. So right now I have a query here that asks me for any Wikidata item that is nearby with a radius of 7. I'm not sure. I don't think it's kilometers actually. But it might
think
be.
It is. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm gonna run this. I don't know if you can see this, but it asked me to allow for access, which I have done. And I get in a completely different area than I am in right now.
I was gonna say.
I'm
So
gonna
your
see.
Wi-Fi thinks you're somewhere else.
Yeah, but it didn't think that like a half an hour ago.
Oh no!
Um,
The first time I saw this kind of query, I didn't write it myself, and someone sent me a link like here's a or somewhere it's like I made a query, and then I looked it up and like, oh, are you stalking me?
right. Oh, I weren't able to exactly show what I wanted, but I imagine I can actually do it similar anyway. Let's see if I have an example here. Yeah, I do think I got one. So what I'm looking for, just to show a starter example, is lakes in nature reserves. And I believe this green area here would be a nature reserve. And
Yeah.
that one of this would be a lake. So I'm going to click on this one. This I'm pretty sure is a lake. And this one I imagine is a nature reserve. Let's check that. First the lake. Instance of lake. Yeah, it doesn't have more data than that. Let's see if the source is actually alive. No.
Oh, is that broken?
Yeah, no, it's not broken, but they have like excluded the very small ones, so they're no longer included in the database, which
Alright.
means like half of the lakes in Sweden do no longer have a source. And here's the nature reserve. So there, I want to link those together, also because I imagine we can showcase it here. These Wikipedia articles are very often very plain because they are entirely robot created. And it's stated here in a small template that they are, which also means that they really, really lack links to related articles. And one way to create those links is to actually recognize that they are within a nature reserve or next to one. So we can actually add this information to all of these robot created articles so that we have more interconnection here, more links in between them. So the small articles can actually be discovered and improved on. So it's kind of my use case.
Yeah. Do you think this one, it actually mentioned the nature reserve, was that added by the bot as well or afterwards?
I am pretty sure it was added by the bot.
All right, but at the time we didn't have the articles.
But it's incredibly outdated because it's no longer, I'm pretty sure it's no longer what's called here in
all right, even so.
2000.
Yep.
So, but which makes a great query actually on Swedish Wikipedia to find outdated information like that. But still, I want to link these two together. So this lake is entirely within the nature reserve. It's very clear by the map, so to say. So I'm gonna state that, and we actually have a lot of ones here we could add, but I'm particularly interested in this use case. And I think it's located in protected area. Yes.
I didn't even know of that. That's good.
There are a couple of ones, but there are especially two ones which are really good to connect lakes and nature reserves. So that's it. I am not a qualifier, but I want to do a reference. Which one did we use for? We used
you used the query service.
Yeah, I used OpenStreetMap to see that it's within.
Yep.
And we did that with a very good one.
Derived?
Right.
Based on
its name nowadays. OpenStreetMap and retrieve. I'm gonna publish it. We got a great structure link now in between this. We know that this lake is a bit extra special, and we can actually like track things and data about it, because it's very likely that there actually is descriptions and valid data about this within the documents that define the nature reserve. So it's, in my opinion, a very valid one. Also, we're actually gonna have a look on this because I want to improve my query now. I want to actually only query for water or for nature reserves that is likely to have a lake nearby.
So you want to query them if they have this area with body of water.
So they have this
nice.
area and then a size, and they have applies to body of water.
All right, that seems a little bit tricky.
Exactly, and there is a very helpful, if you're not into like Wikidata's data model, and even if you are like me, you won't remember it always. And there is a very like good Wikibook for this. Actually, I use it for SparkQL in general when I need to query things like qualifiers.
All right.
So I'm gonna keep this up just as a reference. I'm gonna clean up my select here. I'm just gonna start with the basics. So I want to select everything to begin with. I should really learn how to use autocomplete. I want lakes. No, I want nature reserves. Call that NR and EDT instance of. Know that. Let's see exactly which item it is. It's Q followed by a long number. I actually want to filter on country as well, so we get fewer items. I never learned country. And let's see.
Right. Yes.
So that would give us all nature reserves in Sweden.
That's the first 3,000-4,000 something.
Exactly. We can actually run it. I think it should. It's too basic, so it should.
5,000 even here. Yep.
5,000. Next thing we want is a location, because we actually need that for the map. Coordinate location, and we want to save that one as, I'm just gonna call it cord. Let's see, do we get a different one? It's slightly lower, right?
No, it was the same.
Okay, it was the same.
Yeah,
that would have been interesting elsewise.
Yeah.
So a couple of more ones. The next comes the tricky part. We only want those which has area with applies to part, aspect, or form, and set to body of water. I'm not entirely sure how to do this, so I'm gonna open this. This Wikibook. I'm gonna go to its start page just to begin with, so you can find it on the English Wikibook. It's a great reference not only for Wikidata but for SparkQL. So you got SparkQL, Advanced SparkQL, and then it actually leaves Wikidata to specific sections because it has a slightly interesting data model. If you're familiar with SparkQL since before the Wikidata days. So I'm gonna go to its qualifier references and ranks, which is described. And here, for example, it has just how we get the start and end time, which are qualifiers for Douglas Adams' education. So we can actually see here, I'm gonna zoom in, I realize, that we got a couple of different what's called a namespace in SparkQL and RDF. we've got something called just P and PS and PQ, and we're used to like VD and VDT and so on. But here we've got a couple of different ones which we want to access. So these prefixes, or as I say, namespaces, are defined here. But this points to the statement node. So it's actually, if we go to this item, this is a value, but it's within an information node which also holds this reference and qualifiers. So this, we can think of this entire box here as an information node that holds a value and information about this value. But by default, Wikidata usually looks at the actual value itself, which we have a data type for, like a string or something. But we want to access the entire node that hosts this information, which is P. So we're going to start by that. Here, we're going to do still on the nature reserve, VDT, not VDT, but now we want P. And we want area. Or I'm guessing here, we might actually need to do it on something else. But let's start by this. So we got the area, but we got the entire information node. So here we do not have a number, we do instead have a bunch of information. And we want to access information within that.
And if you would run it now, you would still only get those that had a statement with area?
Yes. So if it's actually a great reason to run it now, because I believe it will display like an internal identifier for this statement node, as you can see here. And I think you can click those nowadays. Yes, you can click it and it links to the particular node. So you can see that it highlights here this node we are within. And I believe if we, for example, click this one, we are on the same item, but we are on a different information node. So now we want to select the right one.
Yeah, and did you see there? You get the perfect example because you have a source that it has 0, which means that we had exactly 4 times the number of the numbers. So all of them have this imported, I believe. So we have 4 statements for each nature reserves.
Yeah, we can see that that's a similar pattern we see here.
Yeah,
we got 4 of each item.
Number results there, like we have 20,000 now instead of 5,000.
Exactly, it's times 4 here as well.
Yep.
Right? So now we want to use this information node, which is represented here by an internal URI. And we want to ask for the applies to part aspect of form. So I'm gonna copy this P number because. And now I wonder what is what I want here. So I'm gonna go back to the handbook and see that PS within the statement node retrieves the object. That would then be the actual information. So it would be, in this case, the number, the size. And PQ would be the qualifier information. So that's what we want. So PQ 518, body of water. And here it's still VD because this qualifier just refers to regular Wikidata item, which is always VD. And body. Actually, this is a tricky one because I just happens to know this because it was troubling the order today that there happens to be 2 items named body of water, and both of them represents body of water. So I'm just gonna copy paste this number to be sure.
Yeah,
I got the right one. So I won't rely on autocomplete. So let's see what this does to begin with. It should give us.
You lost 19.
I lost 19.
Yeah, so
But let's see. We got rather unique ones here.
no, you lost 19 from the original. So you
From the
lost
original.
15,000 now. Yeah, so I think that's pretty
Oh.
good data completeness.
Yeah, it would mean that. But this, I'm still saying body of water here, so it would mean that only 19 does not include body of water,
Yep.
which
Because
surprises me.
because even if it says it has, you saw that on the example you had, it's going to say it has 0.0 area if it's
Oh,
no
right.
water.
Which
So you will
we
need to show
figure out as well.
Yeah, so you will need to get the actual number here.
Right. Great. Then we can show off just an additional one here. Right. We had 0.0 that we can just show it. So we
Yeah, that one.
This is for forest, but it would be the same for body of water.
Yeah.
It states that it has 0 water. If in case it has 0 water, so to say.
Yeah.
So we want to look up for that. Which means now when I filtered, so I only have the areas with body of water, all I need is to look for that value and see if it's equal to all that is, right? So I think it's PS for the actual object. I'm gonna pick that up. Actually, this won't work. This would select all areas, right? Let's see. This is the qualifier. No, it would be right. So let's just run this to see what we get. New records found. Okay. Let's see if I did it right. PS. Within the statement node retrieves the object. Okay. Why didn't we get that one? PS. Retrieves the object area. Oh, is it because we are here? No, statement PS. I wonder what I'm doing wrong here. That's odd. Let's see if we can actually run this example. So I can have a look. It would be education. Education is that one. It selects a Wikidata object. Okay. Let's do an author change. Do it like that to see. It would be the same. Okay. PPS. I can actually debug this a little by doing area and actually ask here for anything. And anything too. What I'm doing here, I'm asking for all properties that are on this information node, so I can actually investigate what this node contains. So I can see it has Wikibase rank, divide from, RDF type, and just plenty of information. I can see P246 has a number. Let's go to that one, see what that could be. It was 0.3. Right. Let's see. So I can clearly see that this contains PS246. Oh, right. I just copied the wrong P number here.
Ah.
I had 500 when I still wanted a different one, I imagine.
Yep.
Yes, it looks like that. Interesting. So it should be TS and then area. And then I want to say body of water, VD. No, I actually don't. I just want to get the size here.
That's the size, yeah.
Something like that. So that's a neat trick that you can query for the property itself, so you can explore the item. What does it actually look like and contain? A great way to debug SparkQL, especially on outer SparkQL endpoints where you might not know the data model. Here we got a lot more. Then we should get the size here, right? And now we want to exclude the ones with very little. Like I'm just gonna scroll to see how common. I think that like
I was trying to find the limit they used for the import to Wikipedia, because then you would just get the Wikipedia articles. But I cannot find it quickly, even though you were debugging.
I'm gonna open one that had quite a small amount of water, like 0.5 hectare, just to see if it actually would contain a body of water. I think so. So what I want to do here is to make sure that the size is
did
larger
it have a
than...
Wikipedia article? Because I came to the conclusion that it is either 0.2 or 2.
So I got one 0.1 here. Could look at the Wikipedia article. Right, because there is a limit also to the lake sites. Let's see. Yeah, for example, this one is only a river or something. Yes, it's only this
passing
small
through,
end
but
here.
it still has an area. All right.
Right. I think we might just then just pick something here, because also it's mostly important to get the larger ones, I believe.
Yeah.
So I want to use this size in a filter. I wonder if I can just do like this. Size bigger or equal to... I am hoping this is in float or integer, a numeric value, you should say. Bigger than 10. Let's see if this works. It's a bit of a chance.
It
did.
Reduced it. All right, nice.
Yeah, it seems to work. Okay, I want to actually do some... Rather, now when you can see that I have been using star to get everything while I'm building my query. I'm gonna clean it up now. I'm gonna do... First of all, I'm gonna add this. We got this very neat label service. I'm gonna use autocomplete. Okay, autocomplete. Select the right one. Auto language followed by Swedish. And if I run this right now, it won't actually give me the label, because you can't actually avoid adding it here. If you're using the label service, you need to define the item you want the label for, followed by label. And I also want... let's take a couple of things. Not the area, because that's the information node. The size could be interesting. The coordinate is very interesting. I think that's it. So we should get a bit of a label now.
Yes.
And let's go with a map. That's a lot
all
of
over
ones.
the place.
Oh, and it's very interesting here, because a lot of them are like next to the...
Is there one on Södra Hällarna?
I imagine.
A little
Well,
bit up.
or yes, there is.
I
Have you edited this?
I've edited that one, but I can't remember there being water there. There's a
No,
there's a tiny river going through it,
exactly.
but that
But it's
must be actually in the ocean.
yeah, exactly. But I imagine it's very interesting here actually because the nature reserve, their size is or their boundaries is defined not by geospatial data in their origin. They are actually descriptions. So it might say the nature reserve's border is where this river starts or where the ocean starts or something like that, rather than this is the geospatial boundary. And that has actually been entered like later, but it's not actually the definition of the size itself.
Yeah.
So for example, that's one of the reasons when they actually imported this data into OpenStreetMap, a lot of people corrected the boundaries based on their definition, which actually improved the geospatial data itself.
All
A
right.
great case for open data.
Yeah.
And I imagine that these values here might actually be computed from not the actual boundaries, but the geospatial boundaries that someone has used been drawing.
Yeah. But then again, of course, it actually could include like 10 meters into the water.
Yes, it could be a description.
Because you want the beach.
Exactly. It could be a description like to the water and then 10 meters out everywhere.
Yeah.
Rather than having like coordinates for each and every point.
Yeah.
But I mostly like this query because it allows us to like find very good cases. I think this one,
there you
for
have
example, is just included. So this is the lake. No, this is the nature reserve. I imagine it's not linked to the water. But let's see. Statement of area. Let's just see. The Swedish Wikipedia article has a link to the lake, which we got here. Let's go to the Wikidata item. Does it have a statement that it's... Let's see,
No.
what we're... Located on terrain feature Gotland, right? Yeah, not helpful in our case. So, located in protected area. And I'm just gonna go back to this item, copy the queue number. And I'm thinking one could actually do this in the future kind of semi-automatically. Like we could propose that this is located within this show small like map image, and the user would just yes, that's the case.
It would be very cool if the distributed game sort of could be fed with a Sparkle query.
Like, oh, that's an interesting one, right?
Like based on if this is the thing that I want someone to check, and these are the two kind of alternatives it can be, but we need a human to decide is it or is it not.
Yeah. So there are a couple of things that might help with building a tool like this. For example, something very cool that the nature reserves has, and I don't think so many Orchard items actually on Wikidata at all have them. I think there are a couple of imports, but I think this was the first one that actually used the data namespace on Wikimedia Commons for maps. I think it's something for the future, but Wikimedia Commons has a data namespace that hosts geospatial information. For example, so we had this called GeoShape. It's a great property that links to Wikimedia Commons that hosts geospatial boundary for this reserve. So it might be used, for example, to look if the coordinate of the lake is within this data. But it's a feature that many might not know about, that this type of geospatial information can actually be hosted on Commons. It's a topic for another day, but it's an interesting thing with nature reserves in Sweden on Wikidata.
Yeah. And of
The
course,
final-
it's useful for all sorts of things besides nature reserves.
Exactly. But for Swedish nature reserves, you can be certain it's there.
Yeah.
The last thing I will do is to share this query for those of you who want to
I know
use
also,
it.
I think someone imported all the bus routes in Chicago or something,
Right.
like, so there are also like some dots, but the dots are like larger ones because there is a complete of one feature or something like that.
Yeah. You got this query now in this link displayed in the video in case you want to see how to access properties. I also gonna share the link to the SparkQL.
Yeah, I have it in the banner here.
Oh, you got
already.
it. Great.
Yes, so this is the one.
Great. Then I think that's it. It wasn't a lot of editing after the query, but this is the type of editing I really like, so I could identify a lot of related ones.
You set yourself up here for some repeated things.
Yeah, exactly. No, I have. I got something to do. I think I'm gonna do 2 out of this. It seems like it. But also, it's a great example of how you can use queries to figure things like this out. And I also believe that it's for example, the SparkQL handbook is a really good resource. I don't only use this for when I write SparkQL for Wikidata. I use it in my work when I need to write SparkQL and use for various endpoints, in particular for color heritage. And it also has this really advanced topics that you might not know about, which are very specific to Wikidata. So we, for example, got this around, which I showed. It has around and bounding boxes. You also got something that I think I showed this once here. The MV API service that allows you to query Wikipedia and Commons and things like that for not the structured data, but for the basic data like title and content and things like that, which is a really powerful thing to have in SparkQL.
Yeah, I love the around. That's really good. I've actually used it a little bit for finding duplicates.
Right, yeah.
So you see something that is just close to something else.
Yes. So I think that's what we got for today. Let's see if I make something out of this, which I can show one day. I'm not going to promise anything, but it seems like a nice task.
Yes. And if someone out there hears something about the idea of making some sort of Sparkle plugin to the distributed tool, that would also be very cool.
Yes.
All right, but that's all for our entering of the World Water Week. I hope you all will have a cool and nice rest of the week.
Right.
Bye for now.
Have a great evening, everyone.